So nothing is actually hard until we decide it is hard. So I like to think about this as at any given point, you have two paths available to you, right? So you have the path that is hard and the path that is easy. And really, it's your choice which path you choose. But oftentimes, we're so focused on the hard path that we tell ourselves that it's the only path, it's the only way, that there really is no other option, that the thing we're trying to do or the place we're trying to get to, whatever it is, that it is just inherently hard. But the thing is that's incorrect. Nothing is hard or easy until we decide to assign that meaning to it. So why is it that we always seem to attach to the hard path? I mean, there's a lot of reasons for this. I think one big thing is that we're trying to protect ourselves, right? So if you attach to the idea that something is hard, then if you try and you fail, then you tried, but it was hard. So it's kind of like there's this level of, well, that's okay to it, right? So if you try on the hard path and you fail, well, it was hard. So of course you failed. That's totally normal. There's nothing wrong with it, right? And we stay stuck in this loop of, well, it's just too hard. So I think that's like really, really that big issue, right? Is that we kind of stay in this hard path to protect ourselves. But sometimes I wonder too, is if it's not just that, but if actually it's not the fact that the path itself is hard, but that we are actually in fact not prepared for what's on the other end. So whatever that end place is, that goal, that end destination, is it that the path is hard, or is it that we haven't actually done the work to emotionally and mentally and even physically prepare ourselves for that end goal? And if you're not prepared for where you're going, then how do you expect yourself to actually get to there? So I feel like that's really the work, right? It's not as much telling ourselves that the path isn't hard, because even though that is, right, like it really is our choice to choose whether it's hard or easy, but so much of the work is actually preparing ourselves to be ready for what's on the other side. And that's why I always talk about how it's not just like visualizing where you want to be, but figuring out who you need to be to get to that up-leveled reality that you're trying to get to, right? Who do you need to become? How do you actually need to upgrade your own identity to be ready for the life that you want? And I think that's what this is about, right? Like if something feels too hard, it's probably because you're not ready for that end destination. So I think that's really the work, is like preparing yourself for that end goal, that end place, preparing your identity. So then all of a sudden, once you're ready for that place, the road ahead becomes so easy because it's almost just like a given, right? Like if you are already prepared to be where it is you want to be, you're just going to flow there naturally. And all of a sudden, it's no longer hard, it's easy. So really think about this. Like it's only difficult if we choose to think that it's difficult, right? We always have this like power within us to decide whether something is difficult or whether it's easy or whether it's challenging or whether it's fun. So nothing really means anything until we decide to assign meaning to it, right? So like everything in life is neutral until you decide to assign meaning to it. Everything in life is neutral until you decide to assign meaning to it. So if you're saying that a path in front of you is hard, you've assigned that meaning to it. If you're saying that something's difficult or challenging or that you're not able to do something, you're just assigning that meaning to it. And maybe that's not it, right? Like maybe that it's not that it's difficult or challenging or anything like that. Maybe it's just that you're not prepared. Maybe that you haven't done enough work to ready yourself for that end level. So really think about that. I think that like when we choose to think about something different, when we choose to shift our perspective, our reality shifts to adjust to that new perspective, to adjust to that new thought. So really think about if you're thinking about something's difficult or if it's too hard, what if you shifted that? What if all of a sudden you thought about, well, how can this be easy? How would that change the experience for you? So really think about like the thoughts you're having about something being hard, right? What hard thoughts are you currently having? And then think about what thoughts do you want to have instead, right? What easeful thoughts, playful thoughts, whatever it may be, what thoughts do you actually want to replace those with? And write all those new thoughts down. And you can one by one replace out those hard thoughts with easeful thoughts, or just every time you have like a hard thought pop up, go to that list of easeful thoughts, right? And read through those thoughts that you want to make things easier, to make things flow better. And read through those thoughts every day. Every time you have a hard thought come up, read through those easeful thoughts. And over time, you will actually rewire your brain to believe that those easeful thoughts are actually a reality. And those hard thoughts that you've been hanging on to will just kind of fade away. So just some food for thought today. Really think about, is it hard, or have you just assigned that meaning to it? And then another layer to that, is it hard, or are you just not ready for that end destination? And what work do you still need to do to prepare yourself? And then think about the hard thoughts that are dominating your mind, and then replace those with the easeful thoughts that you actually want to be thinking.